What's up, guys? How are you? As you can see, I am in a different location. um, but it's Monday, and I got these videos. First of all, happy Memorial Day. I hope you guys are having fun in the sun and playing in some water and like really just letting loose. Because I know it's beautiful outside. But we still got to get this work done. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Don't talk about me because you're going to see me in the same outfit for all of these videos, okay? So don't talk about me, all right? Let me be great. But, okay. Let's go ahead and get started. So before we get started, I first want to congratulate everybody that got 80% or higher on their FSA. You guys did an awesome job. And I honestly thought that test was hard, but y'all rocked it. And so congratulations. And I want to tell you guys that this week's lessons are going to look a little different. We're not going to do like one skill, but since this is the last week of like learning before the summer, before we switch into summer learning, we're basically really just kind of like going over all of the fourth grade skills that we have learned so far. There may be some new questions in there that I may present to you, so don't get kind of like, we're going to talk about context clues. We're going to talk about flashbacks. We may talk about, figurative language again. Like, we're just going to talk about a lot of things that we've learned. And I may introduce some new things. But it's just kind of like a splash of everything in one packet. So I don't want you guys to get confused. And the reason why we're doing this is because if we were in real school, we would basically be doing this to get ready for the math test, right? But since we're not taking the math test, we're still going to do it. And I want to make sure that you guys are able to just answer questions, no matter what skill it is, okay? So basically, we're just reviewing every skill, okay? If you guys are confused or if you have any questions about that, you can always call me, come to my office hours, or you know how to get in touch with me. Text me, write me in Google Classroom, and we'll be able to get through it, okay? So when we start off, we're not going to start off with a regular PDN. We are starting off with our vocabulary word work, okay? Because I want to introduce context clues to you, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. So context clues are words or clues in a text, right? That help us determine the meaning of an unknown word, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and bold those. So whenever we have context clues, guys, these are clues that's going to help us with words that we don't know, okay? When we are using context clues, we are making inferences about what the word means, okay? So we may not know like what the word means, but the clues around the word can help us determine the meaning, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Number one says the emergency room, and let me go ahead and get my handy dandy marker. The emergency room doctors see patients with trauma, such as broken bones, every night. Using the text, the word trauma means. So we have to determine, what does the word trauma mean, right? So that means that we need to look at the clues around the word to help us try to figure out what the word trauma means. So it says the emergency room. First of all, I know that when you go to the emergency room, it's usually for something bad, right? The emergency room is different from just a regular doctor's office. So emergency room is definitely a clue. Patients with trauma, and then it says such as. So it's kind of naming some things that what trauma may be, and it says broken bones. Okay, so here we have two clues. We have emergency room, we have broken bones, and so we can kind of get a clue as to what trauma may mean. It says, using the text, the word trauma means A, headaches, B, plans, C, goals, or D, injury, right? So we can kind of X out some things that we know are like automatically wrong. So remember, guys, we can use our test taking strategies, which is eliminating the wrong answer. So I'm going to go ahead and eliminate B first because I know that trauma has nothing to do with anybody's plans, right? I'm also going to eliminate goals, right? That has nothing to do with the emergency room or broken bones, right? So I'm going to use my clues. I know that headaches are a part of like pain, right? But you usually don't go to the emergency room for a headache. You usually take some Tylenol and go to bed, right? So I know that trauma must mean some type of injury or pain, okay? And then here we have to name what are the clues that we use to determine this. And so I'm going to put it in quotation marks because we want to be specific as to what clues helped us. So emergency room and broken bones are the clues that helped us to figure out what trauma means, okay? Let's go to number 2. All right, it says the graduation will commence at 7 p.m. and ends at 9:30 p.m. Using the text, the word commence means. So let's go ahead and think about what are the clues that kind of tell us what the word commence means, right? So first of all, I know that graduation is a clue word, right? Because the graduation is what's happening, right? It said that it will commence at 7 p.m. and end at 9:30 p.m. Another clue that I have is end, right? If it's ending at 9:30 p.m., then commence must mean that it's beginning at 7 p.m., okay? So let's look and see what this word may mean. Be over, be eventful, begin, conflict. So I can automatically X out A because I know that commence, it can't possibly end at 7 p.m. if it's ending at 9:30 p.m., right? I'm also going to X out D because that doesn't make sense that the graduation will conflict at 7 p.m. That doesn't make sense. So sometimes with the meaning of a word, you kind of want to replace it in the sentence to see if it makes sense. Then it says either be eventful or begin. We determined that the word commence must mean begin because it ends at 9:30, and so it's going to begin at 7 p.m. Okay? Cool. And then here we have to put down what are the clues that helped us, right? So again, we have graduation, and then we have end, right? Those are the, that is what helped us, okay? Good. Now let's go back to my handy dandy marker. Mark was pretty definite when we was younger, but he's one of the most outgoing kids in the class now. So what is a synonym for the word definite, right? So a synonym is basically also saying like what a word may mean, right? Because synonym means the same thing. So let's go ahead and look for some clues. So we know that Mark is definite when he was younger, but it's saying what he is now. Now he is outgoing, right? And it says now. I know that this is what he is now. Okay. So if he outgoing means, of course, that you're social, you like to talk to people, you like to get along with people. So if you're not outgoing, the opposite of that will be shy, right? And so when we think about how was Mark when he was younger, he was definite, right? So if he's outgoing now, that means that when he was younger, he must have been shy. Okay, so I know that the word shy must be a synonym for definite, right? And I can X out the rest of these, and I know that the answer is D. And so then it asks me, what are the clues that helped me, right? And so the clues, outgoing, and now. So guys, if this was a little confusing to you, that's okay, because we're actually going to be talking about context clues throughout the week. So you don't have to worry about it if it kind of confused you. We're going to go ahead and move on to our model. And it's called Zap the Map Review because it's everything that we have pretty much talked about in our 4th grade from when we came in August until now. Okay, so each question is going to be a different skill. So let's go ahead and read the question first, and then we can go back to the actual passage. So the question says to select the appropriate genre for the passage. Actually, I don't want to circle that. I want to underline it. So we actually just finished talking about genre. So this should be very easy for us. Let's go ahead and go back to the passage and let's pick out some clues that kind of help us figure out what the genre may be. Okay? It says it was the middle of World War II. I know that world, y'all know I can't talk sometimes. World War II was in the past. That's something from history, right? But I'm going to continue reading because the passage may do like a little switch up. And we all sat around the fire in fear for what would come next. Our Uncle Sam had been fighting in the war. Okay, that's a clue. And we knew exactly what it meant when the officers came knocking at the door. We had experienced this before with our father. War was a truly awful thing. So the fact that it's talking about World War II, fighting in the war, I know that World War II was a long time ago. And so in my mind, it makes me think of history. It makes me think of historical fiction, right? Because it happened in the past. All right? So I know that the genre of this passage must be historical fiction. And then I could look at the rest. We know that it's not fiction because fiction is not real, right? And World War II is actually very real. Nonfiction is more so like biographies, autobiographies, informational articles. So this is not just a nonfiction text. It's more than that, right? Because it's told as a story. And then fable, of course, has talking animals and a lesson. So let's go ahead and move on to number 2. As you can see, it's a different skill because we're reviewing, okay? The question says, which best describes the structure of the above passage? So now we're moving on to text structure. So you guys see how each question is a different skill. Question 1 was genre. Question 2, now we're talking about text structure. So let's go ahead and read our passage, and we're also picking out clues to figure out what is the text structure. It says, thousands of people die each year. I'm underlining die because die is something bad, right? I know that that's a problem. Because of accidents involving drugs or alcohol. That's a problem. Lives could be saved if our town, okay, so now it seems like they are giving us some type of solution to this problem. Adopts a free public taxi service. By providing such a service, we could prevent drunk drivers from endangering themselves or others. So it gives us a problem and then it offers us a solution. And so the structure of this text must be problem and solution. I know that it's not A because it doesn't have any events in order. It doesn't have any years or times or dates. It's not compare and contrast because we're not comparing two things that are the same or different, right? And then it's not cause and effect because nothing is causing anything to happen. All right, let's go ahead and continue. Let's see which skill we're going to talk about next. So now we're on number 3. And the video may cut off, which is okay. We can pick up with video number 2. It says, which of the following phrases gives the reader a clue that the sentence is an opinion? And I think that this was something that we have gone over before. This is a question that we've gone over before. So